I'm J.R. Church. Welcome to today's analysis of the news. I have two articles here from the internet. They seem somewhat ominous. The first one, for example, tells us that U.S. troops returning from duty in Iraq will be carrying out homeland patrols in America from October 1st for the purposes of helping with civil unrest and crowd control, which could include dealing with unruly Americans after an economic collapse. Now, this shocking admission was calmly reported on September 8th by the Army Times website, which reports that from the beginning of the next month, that is October, the 3rd Infantry Division's 1st Brigade Combat Team, quote, will be under the day-to-day control of U.S. Army North, the Army service component of the Northern Command, as an on-call Federal Reserve or Federal Response Force for natural or man-made emergencies and disasters, including terrorist attacks, end of quote. The article notes that the deployment marks the first time that an active unit has been given a dedicated assignment to NORTHCOM, a joint command established in 2002 to provide command and control for federal homeland defense efforts and coordinate defense support of civil authorities. In other words, for the first time that we know anything about, it is entirely possible that our government could use these troops, American soldiers, to keep the average American citizens under control. Now, that by itself may or may not happen, I don't know. But here is another article. This one talks about the Federal Security Service of the Russian Federation, reporting in the Kremlin that the Bank of England has received from the United States Federal Reserve Bank a notice that President Bush is preparing, don't say that he will, but he said he's preparing to declare an economic emergency during the week of October 5th. That would be starting this coming Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, somewhere in there, and will further announce that the American presidential election due to be held on November 4th will be indefinitely suspended. I can't tell you that will happen. It's just one of those contingencies, I guess. These reports state that the governor of the Bank of England, Mervyn King, has expressed his shock and outrage to his American counterparts that the U.S. Federal Reserve, after that catastrophic collapse of Lehman Brothers, and it caused the Bank of England and the European Central Bank to rush $42 billion, I think it's over $65 billion now, into the European economy to keep it from collapsing and their own banks from running out of money, necessitating the response from the U.S. Central Bank, Ben Bernanke. One of their economic experts, Wilbur Ross, chairman and CEO of W.L. Ross & Company, is now warning that over 1,000 U.S. banks are nearing collapse. And one of their top economists further warns that, quote, there is already a slow-motion run on retail banks occurring nationwide. Well, these are scary days. We don't know exactly what will happen. Hopefully on Thursday the Congress will be able to work out the situation and we'll be able to keep our economy from collapsing. Worldwide, we cannot afford to have a collapsing economy. Can you imagine what it would do to the status of the United States among the nations? Are we going to be a simple third world banana republic type government in the near future? Will this cause our president to finally take in Canada and Mexico and make us all one happy family, as has been reported could happen? Will our dollar collapse and will it be changed over to the proposed Amero? I don't know, but I can tell you this. This is the kind of thing that would happen in the opening days of the tribulation period. I cannot tell you that we have entered the tribulation period. I don't know. But these days seem to have prophetic shades of the future tribulation period. Let me give you an example. There are 7 short books in the New Testament that seem to depict the 7-year tribulation period. They are juxtaposition between the book of Hebrews and the book of Revelation. They are James, 1st and 2nd Peter, 1st and 2nd and 3rd John, and Jude. 7 books. The very first one, James, seems to depict what will happen in the first year of the tribulation period. And in chapter 5, he says, "Go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days." Now, this is a prophecy of the last days. Perhaps we have arrived at that time, for the world's economy, even Europe, is teetering on the brink of disaster. And, someone has said that when the United States get the sniffles, the rest of the world gets pneumonia. I don't know about that. But there is one other interesting thing that's supposed to show up in the first year of the tribulation period, and he writes this in James 5:17. Elijah was a man subject to like passions as we are, and he prayed earnestly that it might not rain, and it rained not on the earth by the space of 3 years and 6 months. So, Elijah should show up one of these days and stop the rain on the earth for 3.5 years. I don't know if that's just in Israel, or if it's in the Middle East, or if it's a worldwide phenomenon that it not rain. I can tell you we've sure had plenty of it for the last few years. Flooding everywhere. So, I cannot tell you that we are close to the tribulation period, but I feel in my bones that we are soon to hear the shout and the trumpet sound. And that would be a wonderful thing, wouldn't it? The Bible calls it our blessed hope. And if you don't know Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, I invite you to trust Him as your Savior. He alone can save you from the hour of God's judgment that will come upon all the world. It could happen soon. You need to make sure you're ready if it does. I'm J.R. Church. We'll see you again tomorrow for our analysis on the news.